Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
The Dick Morris Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hi, welcome to the Dick Morris and Doug DiPirro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group. There was a civil war going on in Somalia that was a deadly, serious affair that raged for 4 or 5 years. And as a result, 90,000 Somalians fled the country and came to the United States. And unlike other refugees in the past, they came as a group. And they basically all moved to the same area, which is an area right outside of St. Paul, the capital of the state. And they became a political bloc that voted as a unit, voted for the Democratic Party, and became a key element of Minnesota politics. There never used to be an Arab vote in the United States, but these 90,000 Somalians voted as a group and still do. And they elected Governor Waltz, the Democratic nominee for vice president, under Kamala Harris, and they have voted consistently as a Democratic bloc. Now it turns out that fraud has taken root in the community, as scores of individuals have made small fortunes by setting up companies that build state agencies for millions of dollars of social services that were never provided. Federal prosecutors say 59 people have been convicted in those schemes so far, and that more than $1 billion of taxpayer money was spent in the stolen
$1 billion would it be?
That's right. And fraud has become a key political issue in Minnesota. Governor Tim Waltz and fellow Democrats are being asked to explain how so much money was stolen on their watch, providing Republicans who hope to take back the governor's office in 26 with a powerful weapon. Over the last 5 years, law enforcement said that fraud has taken root in the Somali community and that the fraudsters have been protected politically. The congresswoman from the area, Omar Inbred.
That's her name.
Yeah.
That's good enough. They know who we're talking about.
Is one of the leaders of the fraud. And Representative Omar has continued to espouse the Somali cause. So this is the first time in the United States that we've had fraud that is not the act of random criminality, but a concerted effort by an entire community to defraud the state.
You know, Wall says, this is what he said, undermines trust in government, undermines programs that are absolutely critical in improving quality. That's what Wall said. You know, he's in on this.
But what's different about this is the first time there's been a criminal issue, a corruption issue, which is a systematic effort by a minority community. And they're emulating the tactics they used in France, which is to take over a community, concentrate their population there, have all the refugees settled there, vote as a bloc, elect district attorneys and prosecutors who are going to be complicit with them.
Sharia law installs Sharia law. So people can't walk through their neighborhood and cops can't come through either.
And use all this to defraud the state. And this has been done in Minnesota with the assistance, cooperation, and sponsorship, really, of Governor Tim Waltz. And this is the first instance we have of a major effort by an immigrant community to change the politics of the country by infiltrating a swing state and doing it in sufficient numbers to be able to control its politics.
Wow. It started with Obama, first of all. He brought a lot of these people in, didn't he?
Yeah,
yes, he did. I'm not asking the question.
There was a civil war going on.
Right.
And then all the Somalis came together and migrated to the same place.
And then after Afghanistan debacle with Biden getting our troops out of there, did it again, which we're going to talk about that coming up also. So
what's different about this is, first, it implicates a guy who came very close to being president. And
Vice President.
President.
You're talking about Walls?
President. Yeah. Yeah. Just one heartbeat.
Harris got it.
Heartbeat away from the presidency.
Got it.
And I think that the issue here is that this is an effort to use immigration as a means of political conquest.
Sure. Unbelievable.
Now, since Trump came into office, there have been a host of discrimination suits brought by trans people that have made it all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court has ruled that transgender troops can be banned from the military because they directly affect the president's role as commander-in-chief. Trump lawyers have argued that the ban on transgender troops in the military is no different from other policies disqualifying people from military service over medical conditions that can affect military readiness, such as epilepsy or schizophrenia. The policy disqualifies people based on diagnosis or history, based on their past. The issue here is, will a history of gender dysphoria, which is defined by shrinks as being the condition that leads to the desire to change your gender, would that be an argument that can be introduced to ban people from military service? And Trump has started to win these cases, one after the other. And it's becoming clear that the trans community does not provide protection against this kind of discrimination. But what
does that mean? Explain that. The trans community doesn't provide protection.
That the idea that you're trans has increasingly been used by the left as a method of isolating the trans community
and placing them in places,
saying you're in jeopardy and the fascists are after you,
and
the Nazis are coming to get you. And I think that the rejection of these arguments by the Supreme Court is very important.
They're coming to take you away. Ha ha. Hee.
Now, Doug, there are 5,000 Afghans who have come into the United States and were flagged as security risks.
A newly released document shows that more than 5,000 Afghan migrants brought to the USA under Joe Biden's Operation Allies Welcome were flagged for serious national security concern. The Department of Homeland Security flagged potential derogatory information on about almost 7,000 people who were allowed to enter the United States during Biden's chaotic Afghanistan withdrawal. According to data by the DHS in September 9, a letter to Chuck Grassley, 5,000 Afghans who arrived in the U.S. were flagged for national security issues, almost 1,000 for public safety concern, and almost 900 for fraud. As of September, a staggering 885 of these cases still had unresolved potentiality negative national security information, meaning potential threats remain unaddressed even years later. This is horrible. Overall, the Biden administration resettled over 70,000 Afghans following the troop pullout, with reports indicating that at least 55 individuals on terror watch lists who slip through the cracks, really. Under Biden, the expedited evacuation prioritized speed over security. as noted in reports from the DHS. And
they just wanted to get rid of them as fast as they could.
And get them
invisible.
And get them in. Exactly. And get them in before we see
making them invisible by getting them in.
That's right.
They couldn't be ID'd. And this is so similar to what's gone on with the Somalis.
And it's just created vulnerabilities in this area. It's just horrible. And do you ever think that they say, wait a minute, we have problems over there in the Middle East, and we got a lot of terrorists at 9/11. You think if they just anyone, forget Biden himself, what about everyone underneath them? Wait a second, guys, we got to make sure that we don't.
But their priority was to eliminate the lines, and they were badly hurt politically.
You mean the district lines for voters?
No,
is that what you're talking about?
The lines of Afghans wanting to leave the country.
Oh, yeah.
And their priority was to restore order there and eliminate the perception of what was actually going on, which was the mass migration of Muslims into the United States.
And once again, I mentioned this last week, Astorino was taking pictures of them coming out of Westchester Airport and going over that way. I'm almost sure this was part of it also. He helped us a lot, but this is horrible. You want to go to the next one with Maduro?
Yeah. The U.S., Trump has been doing everything he can to get Maduro to back down.
And he said, save yourself and your family. President Trump confirmed with Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro on Sunday night, but declined to provide details amid a report that he warned the dictator to leave, protect himself and his family. A report comes source who told the Miami Herald that Trump warned, you can save yourself and those closest to you, but you must leave now. I don't want to comment on it, he said. But he said, I did. I talked to him. Trump told reporters Sunday on the Air Force One. Trump reportedly delivered a stock message to Maduro during the high-stakes phone call last week. His wife, Celia Flores, and his son would be granted safe passage out of Venezuela, but only if they left immediately. The call brokered by Brazil, Qatar, and Turkey was intended as a last-ditch diplomatic effort as Washington prepared to expand its military campaign against Venezuela's ruling cartel, but it quickly collapsed over I can't even say it. Forget it. According to the sources, the U.S. rejected 3 key conditions sought by Maduro's inner circle. Number 1, global amnesty for crimes Washington leaks to the cartel, De Los Soles. Number 2, a Nicaraguan-style transition that would allow the regime to retain control of the armed forces. And number 3, a delayed resignation timetable. Trump says no to that. With no deal reached, Trump escalated pressure, declaring Venezuelan airspace closed in its entirety and warning that U.S. land-based operations targeting drug trafficking networks would begin very soon.
Trump is taking the position that Venezuela under Maduro has become a massive rallying point and collection point for drugs to be shipped into the United States.
It said this is a war.
And Trump is using this to go against Maduro with the goal of toppling him from government. But there's a certain sleight of hand here. Trump wants to stop the drugs from coming in.
And that's it.
But he's basically using this to get rid of Maduro, which is an essential U.S. foreign policy tool.
So the U.S. forces, he includes the USS Gerald Ford, this is on the coast, more than 10 warships, a nuclear submarine, and F-35 jets. They gathered near Venezuela, fueling fears across the region. So he's there. He's listen, here I am. How you doing? Let's talk.
That's right.
You want to go take care of your family? I like the way he uses that too. Yep. You want to save your family. He doesn't just say to him, hey, listen, tough guy, I'm going to kill you. He said, listen, take care, protect your family. Not too many people, can walk away from that. And then we got Michael. You want to go to the next one?
Yeah, Michael. No, I want to do this one. There's been a big change in the data of consumer expectations. Consumer sentiment in the U.S. improved in December as Americans became more optimistic about their personal finances and inflation expectations declined. The stats on consumer confidence have been terrible. And while the stats on the economy itself have been pretty good. And this now is the first time that they've begun to come together. The University of Michigan's index of consumer sentiment climbed from 53 in November up from 51, and now going up by another 5 points, primarily among young people. And so this is the first time that there's been a real indication of an improvement in consumer sentiment and particularly by young people. This comes at a time when the applications for new unemployment insurance have dropped to a 3-year low. So the economy's been getting better and unemployment has been dropping, but there's a hesitancy on the part of the statistical nerds who compile all of this to admit this.
We used to call them bean counters. Now you call them statistical nerds.
Yeah.
Reconcilable was that word before I couldn't get out.
Michael and Susan Dell from Dell Computers.
Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is so beautiful. All accounts are professionally managed. First of all, they're pledging $625 billion to seed Trump accounts.
No, $6 billion and $250 million. 6.25.
6.25. What did I say?
Trump accounts.
Right.
For 25 million children.
Billionaires Michael and Susan Dell have pledged
$6.25 billion.
$6.25 billion to help 25 million American children open new created investment accounts under President Trump's Invest America initiative. The Dell's gift, announced on December 2nd, will fund $250 deposits for children ages 10 and under who were born prior to January 1st of 2025. Qualifying date to receive the federal government's $1,000 newborn contribution to their tax advantage Invest America accounts, commonly known as Trump accounts. And Trump says, two great people. I love the Dells. So the $6.25 billion donation, which is intended to encourage families to activate a new child investment account authorized under Trump's signature One Big Beautiful Bill Act, is expected to reach nearly 80% of American children ages 10 and under across 75% of zip codes. Children under 10 may benefit too if funds remain available after initial sign-ups, the Dell said in a statement. It is an incredible, practical, and direct step to help families begin saving. The Invest America program gives every child under 18 with a Social Security number access to federally overseen savings and investment accounts, and families can activate beginning July 4th of 2026.
This is such an important thing that Trump is doing. As opposed to handouts, he's literally beginning the process of people saving for their own selves.
And then he also says at 18 they could take it, they could use it under whether they use it for a home or whatnot. But
tuition. Here's
the thing that he's doing, though, that's important. The gist of this whole thing. You know, a lot of low-income people, they don't have a bank account. And I'm not going to put a bank account for their kids because they don't really have it. So they start with $1,000 from the government. And then people can put in, your employer could put $2,500 a year, and you could put within $5,000 a year. I don't understand that part, but I'm going to ask you later. So all in all, per year, you could get $7,500 into this account. So a kid, when he's 12, 14 years old, all of a sudden he's got $4,000, $3,000, $8,000. He's got some money in an account. He's going to think to himself, wow, I got some money here. He's going to start to think business. He's going to start to think, what can I get? Some kids are obviously going to go out and buy the motorcycle and a car like me. But some kids will, start a business, or they'll go to school. It gives you incentives where so many people would not have anything in an account when they're 18 years old.
And this can be used for buying a home, paying tuition, starting a business, and if you don't use it for one of these purposes, the money is taxed as ordinary income.
After 18. But you can't touch it until 18.
Right.
And here's the other thing.
But if you use it for these purposes and you're over 18, you get this tax-free.
Right.
And it really does start you preparing for a life of savings.
Because you own something now. It's actually, you actually have some money in the bank. How many times, I didn't have any money in the bank when I was 16, 17 years old. You have some money that you can go out. Here's a question I have about this. I'm gonna let it go. And the other thing is, this isn't a village. This isn't everyone coming out. This is the government giving you a bank account and you can start your life with something. At 14, I would say that's when kids are going to say, wow, what is this? Their parents start telling them, you got $3,000 in this account and whatnot. So this is unbelievable what they're doing. The Dells. Thank you. What are their names? The two Dells.
Susan Dell.
And Michael
Dell.
Michael and Susan Dell. Thank you very much. This is beautiful. Hey, did you say Lindell was going to run for? But
that's the other story.
Another story. But we'll just say you should sleep on it.
Yeah, right. Michael Lindell is talking about running against Waltz for governor as these scandals come out.
And Dick says, "Oh,
and I think I would advise him to sleep on
it." You're a funny guy, Dick Morris. All right, so that's a great story of them. That's $6 billion. That's a lot of jack.
Yeah,
Dell. Thank you so much.
And it so mirrors something that happens in middle class families, but not to poor people. The idea that you grow up and you have savings, which you can use for collateral, you can use to borrow money, you can use to set up a credit history, and you can use practically for tuition, to buy a first home, to start a business, all kinds of stuff.
Basically, this is a kickstart. It's kind of like you have an old motorcycle and it just sits there. Somebody comes along and kickstart it. Now you have to just adjust the carburetor, get it running right, work it out. You know what I mean? This is the kickstart for these people when they wouldn't have anything. Now all of a sudden somebody's starting something up for you. Yep. This is important. I think this is going to be great. See? And people are going to talk bad about them. Do we have a break here? We got to go to break. When we get back, first of all, I want to say this is Pearl Harbor Day. God bless everyone that passed in that. And we got On the Rocks coming up with a little Pearl Harbor thing. It's really beautiful. When we come back.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Doug DiPirro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group.
So, as I said before we took a break, we're going to get Roxana Maria.
Hello.
She's going to talk. Hi, Rock. How you doing? We'll do On the Rocks, and she's going to talk about February 7th, Pearl Harbor.
Yes, it's December 7th.
Oh, what did I say? February.
February. We had 6 months.
I'm off right now, guys. You got to give it.
December 7th, 1941. Today, a day of reflection, tribute, U.S. flags fly half-mast honoring the American heroes who perished that day. A devastating blow that entered the United States into World War II. The lives lost, the lives touched by those losses, and the lives changed as we entered World War II, affected countless American families. President Roosevelt aptly called December 7th a date which will live in infamy. Our nation stood united in strong resolve against this unprovoked attack, leading to profound social changes, driving rapid innovation in aviation, radar, and computing. It solidified the United States as a leading global economic and military superpower. Today changed history. The symbolism of the USS Arizona remains a powerful emblem of American sacrifice and her resilience. May we bow our heads in prayer, honoring all lives affected and their great heroic patriotism. May we also raise our eyes to the heavens, remembering that 84 years ago, In God We Trust was proudly our national identity, rooted in American values such as faith, morality, and accountability. The words symbolize the nation's acknowledgement of God's role in its prosperity and values. Some argue today that it contradicts the separation of church and state, creating great division. However, overall, In God We Trust embodies the complex relationship between government and American identity. My question, are these complexities any different than 84 years ago? Do American eyes still gaze upon our beautiful flag with hand over heart, tears of gratitude for all the sacrifices of our freedoms? What does it mean to you today? It's just a question to internally ask. Blessings to all. Amen.
So Rock, what do you think as far as people long ago and now?
I feel that there's a big difference. However, we're seeing people come to the forefront with their beliefs and still their moralities of church and country and God and faith. But they were hidden for a long time.
One of the things you going to say something?
No,
one of the things I see, which I don't like, is waving other flags in our country.
But let me go back to Pearl Harbor.
There was a unity.
For many, many years, ever since George Washington's farewell address in 1796, the concept that America must remain neutral and that the ocean shielded us from having to be involved in foreign affairs dominated American policy. And neutrality was a bedrock patriotic principle that Americans believed in.
Right.
And this continued until December 7th, 1941.
41.
On that moment, isolationism ended. It was a definitive end to this idea that had clearly had majority support in the United States.
Sure.
When Roosevelt was providing aid to Britain, everybody in the U.S. said, oh, you're going to get us involved in World War II, just as our aid to Britain got us into World War I. When Germany started to sink ships we were sending over. And this is the first time, and probably the only time in our history, that a political movement has been so immediately and universally discredited. It happened again on...
In what way?
That Pearl Harbor showed that it was bull. That you could not be protected against this.
Oh, got it.
And this is the same as September 11th was in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And these events have a way of being defining chapters in what we think about ourselves and the world. And truly, December 7th, 1941 was a date that erased the calendar, erased the map.
That's very interesting. Very interesting. And also, it's amazing what it showed that the country, what we can do when we strap up our boots and we get out there, and the industrial world that they built. I forget what the number. I used to know this number, the amount of ships per day.
That's unbelievable. We had one ship a day.
Something like that, right? That's sick.
And Roosevelt, when we went to war, predicted that the United States would produce 100,000 airplanes a year.
And we did.
Everybody contributed. Everybody.
Contributed.
Women.
But politically, isolationism was never defeated at the polls. It was defeated by the Japanese bombs.
Interesting.
And by the Taliban on January
9/11. Wow. You know,
and and this is not just a change of political mood or a change of people recognizing something. This was a major change brought about by external events. And isolationism and the reluctance to be involved in other countries has been so repudiated by the clear effect of the attacks by other countries.
This unified us 100%.
so much.
And it eliminated the oceans.
Yes.
It basically made us, like any European country, cheek by jowl with our neighbors.
And it made us the strongest military force in the world. We weren't yet, right? We were getting there.
Right.
But this really did it, you know? And it showed what we can do with Americans.
Everybody went to work. They rolled up their sleeves and they went for the cause.
Bear in mind about Pearl Harbor is that the decision to rearm America and to build up our military to a point where it could defeat the Nazis and the Japanese was a private sector move. There was intense debate within the Roosevelt administration, with Eleanor Roosevelt leading the effort to have the government do all this. And Franklin saying, no, we want the private sector.
Absolutely.
To do this. And that was a fundamental disagreement within the president's family and within his official family. And Roosevelt deliberately made the rebuilding of America's military and the buildup of our tanks and our weapons
private
as a private sector initiative.
Capitalism.
Led by the guy who used to be the Knudsen, who used to be the CEO of General Motors.
Okay.
And he led the effort. And then others came in. But ultimately, the rearming of America, the creation of the American military as a strong military, started with Pearl Harbor Day, and it became a private sector initiative, not a public sector
Which
one.
built us up. And then you had the women working, Rosie the Riveter. You had women working all of these industries, whatever they were doing.
And so interesting, the progress of women in the United States and nationally and internationally has been so linked to their ability to help us during war.
Unbelievable.
Men were not giving women the right to vote until 1917, 1921, when the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified and women got the right to vote. It's no coincidence that happened right after World War I in recognition of the massive contribution of women toward America's military during the war.
Don't I rock?
And then we had and then of course after Pearl Harbor and the massive feminine role in our military and our reconstruction, that led to Rosie the Riveter. It led to the legitimizing of female labor and increasingly the feminist movement.
They're just amazing women. It's just an amazing
Well,
thing.
a lot of the women, when they went into the workforce to help during the cause, they liked it. They found another part of them that hadn't been utilized.
Right.
So they continued to be outside of the family working to contribute to the home.
They felt like they had worth, and they saw the men that truly respected them. Some. I'm sure there was a lot of creeps that didn't, but too bad for them.
When I was younger, when I was a kid, I noticed increasingly that the cars on the street changed. And
when?
The big
what are you talking about?
1950s, 1960s.
Yeah. Oh, I know about those.
1970s.
Oh, I have all those cars.
And the big thing was the introduction of the Volkswagen Beetle.
The people's car.
Yeah.
A Volkswagen.
And the fact that cars did not have to be gigantic, did not have to cost a
I didn't
ton.
like that. I'm going to tell you right now.
Now, Trump is picking up on that and has just approved and announced that tiny cars should be built in the United States. They can be propelled by gasoline, electric, or hybrid. These cars are of the very near future, inexpensive, safe, and fuel efficient, and quite amazing. Trump said, start building them now. Thank you to the Justice Department and the Department of Transportation and Environment. Enjoy. A tiny urban commuter car that drinks gasoline in sips rather than gulps may find a ready market in American cities. The president reportedly was prompted to do this after being in Japan last month and observing Kia cars, K-E-I. Kia isn't the company name. It's Japanese. It means tiny or small.
Oh, because hold on. There is a Kia, a K-I-A. This is what?
K-E-I.
Oh, okay. Go on.
Trump earlier in the week expressed admiration for Kia cars, small vehicles that are common in Japan and elsewhere in Asia, and are sold at lower costs and tailored to today's more narrow roadways. They have a very small car. It's sort of like the Beetle used to be with the Volkswagen, Trump said.
Right.
They're small. They're really cute. And I said, how do you do that in this country? And everyone seems to think good, but you're not allowed to build them. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said that tiny cars in America would be permitted and would likely work best in urban settings and could provide a cheaper alternative for some consumers. So
they scare me. I'm going to tell you, they scare me. And I ride a motorcycle constantly, right? Those little cars scare me more than a bike.
You behind the wheel scares me. Particularly when I'm in the car.
Get the hell out. You're always sleeping. You don't even know.
But
I got to lock up the brakes once in a while to wake them up.
Now, take these two stories that I covered that are going on. The innovation of tiny cars and the growth of consumer confidence. The fact that the jobless benefit rate, people applying for new unemployment benefits, is at a 3-year low, and consumer sentiment has moved up significantly. And people are now looking at the alternative of cheap individual person cars. And at the same time, Trump announced that he is lowering fuel economy standards, significant rollback in fuel economy standards. The Trump administration is set to propose a significant rollback of standards finalized by Biden. The National Highway Transportation Safety Administration is expected to propose significantly reducing the fuel economy requirements for 22 and 31 model years. Trump is set to announce the plan Wednesday and is expected to include executives from the three largest automakers. Earlier this year, Trump signed legislation that ended fuel economy penalties for automakers and that there are no fines going on for not complying. So the idea is the U.S. is making it possible to have lower fuel economy standards and lower the price of the cars.
Right. So this way, you're not putting a mandate on the electric cars because you got this thing in your head for the, environment and whatnot. He's doing what you're supposed to do. You do it this way and let capitalism figure out what's going to work. You got to make money, first of all. And these guys, there's manufacturers that are trying to figure out how to use alternative fuels, get gas mileage down. That's happening. Trump knows that too. The Democrats, there's a mandate. You got to have all electric cars next year. Bull. And that's what Trump's too smart for that. He's a good businessman.
Do you remember, I just don't mean to break in here, in the 1950s, the Nash Metropolitan?
Yeah, sure, of course.
It was a family car, but it was a small car.
Ugly looking thing.
And there was the Willie, the Hudson Jets?
Yeah, sure.
The Azetta bubble car. Dick, do you remember the bubble car?
I don't remember any of that.
All right. We got to take a break, but this is good. We're going to come back with car. First of all, I was supposed to take that story, but we're having glitches here in the studio. So when we come back, we'll talk about, something else.
Bye-bye.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DiPirro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group. Lately, gas prices have dropped below $3 a gallon, $2.99, and dropping. And it's the product of Trump's drill baby drill policy that promotes energy exploration and development and has boosted the United States production of oil from 7 million barrels a day 10 years ago to 14 million barrels a day now, and going up to 20. But as gas prices have lowered, electricity prices have raised. And the Democrats are saying that the problem is that the administration is not keeping those under control.
Yeah, okay.
But absent from both of these campaigns was any discussion of the real culprit, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative that was pushed by Biden and has made electricity prices higher across the Northeast. The multi-state program backed by Democratic governors intentionally increased the cost of carbon-intensive electricity generation so as to discourage emissions. The program works by establishing a regional emissions cap and requiring power producers to buy allowances for every ton of carbon they emit. Because the cap declines over time, the price of the allowances rises, and utilities then incorporate their new costs into prices that every electrical user uses. Because wholesale electricity markets set prices based on the highest cost plant needed to meet demand, so that when the grid says we need more power, you give it to them, whatever the cost. Higher costs for gas and coal generators have lifted all prices on the grid. New York and Virginia were both part.
New Jersey and Virginia
were both part of this regional compact. And they just finished their elections in which they elected Democratic governors. But in no state have electricity prices risen higher and faster than the past 5 years in California. And the Democrats are blaming data centers for high and rising electricity prices. They say that this high use in data centers to produce AI, artificial intelligence, has caused the prices to rise. But the fact of the matter is that it's because of government regulation that electricity prices are higher, because Biden deliberately tried to raise those prices to discourage consumption.
Right. And then once again, the Democrats, it backfires and bites them in the butt, like always. They got this thing with the EV mandate and all the different things, and the prices going up, and because of coal and electricity plants. And this is what happens now. Now what are they going to want? The government to bail them out at one point?
Now, Texas adopted a totally different approach. And they absorbed data counter growth without triggering higher prices.
What does that mean?
They avoided these mandates. They had to have clean energy and it had to be emissions free.
Right.
And California not only imposes its own carbon cap, but it requires utilities to sign long-term renewable contracts, which forces them to buy rooftop solar power at inflated rates that shift costs onto traditional customers. So because the Democrats insisted on using the need for data centers for additional power to raise rates by a regional compact to do so, rather than letting the market just keep those prices down.
Let the market do what it's going to do. Capitalism, that's it.
Now, we've just had the most amazing real-life, true-life crime story.
This is horrible.
You recall that in the aftermath of the 2021 election controversy, there was a pipe bomb case in which a guy placed bombs near the Democratic and Republican campaign headquarters.
Right. They got the guy.
We've now got the guy, and the arrest of the suspect proves that what is long believed, that the Biden administration allowed critical evidence to sit untouched for years, forcing the incoming Trump team to build up the investigation from the ground up.
Why? I always wonder about that. What was with that? Why would they do that?
State and local law enforcement, along with a newly energized federal effort, tracked down this guy and found a guy named Cole, who had been planting these bombs. Patel, the head of the FBI, said, in 8 months, we came in and reviewed all of the evidence, which had sat alone and on the sidelines for 4 years under Biden. Patel said Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino assembled a nationwide team of specialists who were ordered to re-scrub the massive trove of digital data, re-examine leads, rebuild what he suggested had been a stalled or neglected probe. We demanded they reevaluate the information and evidence, scrub the cell phone logs and data centers, and look for investigative leads. This is what good cop work looks like.
No. This is what adults do. Biden had the children running this administration, little kidding, whatever.
Patel
this is what adults do.
The head of the FBI, Patel, said, in my opinion, the Biden administration was either completely incompetent or intentional in their weaponization of justice and law enforcement.
Or both.
And we know they have a track record, Arctic Cross, Russiagate, and so many others. So I put this in that folder. He emphasized that new investigative work was included intensive manual work, not simply software inquiries. Look at the 3 million lines of information. Look at the self-tower data dumps. Triangulate. I like that. Bring in the FBI's evidence response teams and subject matter experts. This isn't some computer system where you dump in information and ask it what spits out. This is hundreds of people, thousands of man hours going line by line.
Using their brains, common sense, detective work.
Being motivated to do it.
And being motivated to do it.
The fact is that Biden was so happy, the Democrats were so happy.
With all the people coming in?
Well, that after the October riots.
Yeah, the 6th.
They could blame
January 6th, you mean?
January 6th. They could blame the Democrats. And they could say that they could blame the Republicans.
Right.
And they could say that this was an effort to destabilize the country.
So don't fix it. Right.
And undermine confidence. And then it turns out that there was this guy planting bombs at both party campaign headquarters. And nobody knew who he was, and nobody knew if he was pro or anti-Trump. It turns out that this guy was a strong Biden supporter, a strong opponent of Trump, who deliberately placed these bombs so as to undermine confidence in the Republican Party. And Patel told the agency, the FBI, coming up short was not an acceptable position for me.
Good for him.
He adding that the successful arrest reflected a return to objective, unpoliticized law enforcement. And so now they've arrested Cole, I forget his first name.
Yeah.
Who planted these bombs. And it turns out that his day job, his company's family business, was providing bail to criminals, lending them money, and that their business had gone nearly broke over the last few years, and was reliant
because there was no bail for people.
Was reliant on federal bailouts, and he was the one that planted these bombs, and it really was an effort to change the whole dialogue about the October 21st riots.
It's just it sickens me to think that people actually in the administration, the Biden administration, would sit back and say, no, let's not go after this guy, even though he planted a pipe bomb or whatever he planted.
One in each party.
Yeah, let's not go after. What's wrong with people? If that was a Republican or a Trump guy did that, I would go after him. I would stop him. I would convict him. I don't get it.
When we come back, New York has released 7,000 migrant criminals.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The federal government has...
Wait, what's the name of the show?
I'm sorry. Welcome to the Dick Morris and Doug DiPirro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold.
Our good friend Jack. Good. Wait until you hear this story. This is horrible. New York released 7,000 migrant criminals. This is unbelievable. New York State has released nearly 7,000 known illegal migrant criminals without notifying ICE since President Trump took office, including killers, sexual predators, and a maniac booted from the U.S. 8 times who attacked an Ithaca cop with a machete. Wow, this is unbelievable. The rap sheet behind the rogues gallery includes 29 homicides, thousands of assaults, and hundreds of burglaries, robberies, drug offenses, weapon offenses, and sexual predatory offenses. All of them were protected by state and local sanctuary laws that dramatically restrict how local authorities can communicate with ICE.
A 2017 executive order signed by Andrew Cuomo of late lamented memory, prohibits law enforcement officers from using resources, equipment, or personnel for helping feds enforce immigration laws. And that's one of the great reasons that he will never be mayor.
Yeah, right. And ICE says, hand him over, ICE. Hand him over. ICE is now demanding that New York Attorney General Letitia James, or I like to call her LaShysta James, hand over over 7,000 illegal migrants, thugs who are locked up in New York's jails and prisons so they can be deported, according to a letter sent to the state's embattled top lawyer Monday. The feds say that they want to ensure the convicts never walk free in New York. These are people who are not only in the country illegally, but have committed additional crimes, including heinous crimes like murder, horrible murder, rape, possession of child pornography, armed robbery, and many others. Currently, 7,000 aliens are locked up in New York with active detainers. I'm going to tell you what that's all about, too. And ICE is demanding that New York State turn them over. They are responsible for combined 148 homicides, 700 assaults, 134 burglaries, robberies, dangerous drug offenses, weapon offense. This goes on and on. Sexual predatory. The
also caught and released by New York authorities was Alexander Moreno Montoya, who has charges including assaulting a police officer, criminal possession of a weapon, and cocaine possession. Although he was under an ICE detainer, he was released from Rikers Island on March 17th, only to be caught again by ICE on July 7th and removed from the U.S. He's known as the machete murderer.
Yeah, right.
Who attacked a cop and tried to butcher him apart with a machete.
And then you have the other thing, this guy, Jesus Romero Hernandez, 27, a Mexican national who, despite being removed from the U.S. on several previous occasions, was turned loose from Tompkins County Jail in January after serving a 179-day sentence for viciously attacking an Ithaca police officer with a machete. Why? Why? What do the Democrats think they're going to vote for him? Where are we going with this?
God knows.
I just don't get it.
Now, remember the earlier story we talked about the Somalians. The ICE has now targeted Somali immigrants who are living largely in Minnesota. And Trump said he wants them out of the U.S. and described them in disparaging terms. He said, I don't want them in our country. I'll be honest with you. This country is no good for, their country is no good for a reason. We're at a tipping point. We could go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into the country. He's
going to get something for that, right? Oh, you're calling them garbage. They are garbage. Get out.
ICE is planning an operation in Minnesota targeting the city's Somali immigrant community. About 40,000 Minnesota residents were born in Somalia, and the ICE will send in roughly 100 agents from around the U.S. to help with the operation, which is intended primarily to target Somalia immigrants with final deportation orders. The Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area is home to most of them. Most of its members are either citizens or permanent residents or hold other forms of legal identification.
Tricia McLaughlin, the spokeswoman for the Department of Homeland Security, said in a statement that the agency doesn't discuss future or potential operations. Of course.
Now, go ahead.
Now we got this. Trump demands governors use paper ballots. President Trump earlier Tuesday called on all Republican governors to follow moves in Texas counties toward requiring paper ballots to lead the Democrats out of their corrupt ways. Great news. Dallas County, Texas just went all paper. Trump said on his Truth Social. Many others are following suit. More accurately, total secure with watermark paper. So you're more secure with the watermark paper. Faster and only 9% of the cost. All Republican governors should mandatorily do this. Save money and freedom. Lead the Democrats out of their corrupt ways. Trump says, first of all, we don't have any calls on our screen. No one's calling in. We got nothing. And what is the call-in number, by the way, guys? Let's see. Go to the call. And, we're going to take a break anyway very soon, right? We're just
800-848-9222. 800-848-9222.
Yeah, so call in. I think our screen is broken because we usually have it loaded up right now. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back on the flip side. Thank you.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DiPirro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group.
Hello, Jack Haney.
We, as we face the elections of 2028 coming up, the Republicans are losing 23 House incumbents who have announced so far that they're not running for another term. Democrats are losing only 17. And the history is that the surest way to get a seat to flip parties is for the incumbent not to run again. And we have 23 of them. They only have 17 of them.
That's six.
More than 24 GOP lawmakers have already announced their decision to leave their seats at the end of the term. And the number is expected to grow.
Wow.
Also, you have to play that against the idea that we're about to flip 5 seats in Texas and 1 in Indiana. and one in Missouri, where the redistricting will give us the advantage. But the retirements...
How many? Oh,
together about 10 seats.
That we're going to gain.
We're going to gain.
But then we could lose not 23, but...
Many of them.
Many of them.
More than they did.
So those 10 are important for us right now.
And the retirements are really devastating in terms of our ability to hold on to the House.
Next week we got to figure out who they are, all these retirements.
Now, Trump has ordered a halt to naturalizations from 19 countries.
He has the full list of countries in the U.S.
And this is in response to the murders of ICE agents.
This is in response to having common sense. Once again, I keep going. Today's theme for the show: common sense and the lack thereof. So the countries that have a halt of naturalization: Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea is how you say it, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela.
Yep.
So there you go. Thank you.
Stay away.
Stay out. Goodbye.
Now, we've covered some of these stories about Somalia, the massive influx of Somalian refugees
in
concentrating
Minnesota
as a base in St. Paul, Minnesota, voting to elect Democrats. And now Mike Lindell, our pillow friend.
But before we get into it, I've got to ask you, and you might not know this. Who's going to really know this? But we got to look into it. What do you think? Why? Obama started this whole influx into Minnesota and whatnot, and Michigan and whatever. What do you think? There's got to be a strategy for those places right there.
This was a strong Democratic effort to use refugees and illegal immigrants to pad the voter rolls in swing states, particularly in Minnesota.
Got it.
And Minnesota went from being a swing state to being a lean Democrat state because of these 90,000.
And that was his dry run. He probably wanted to do it as many states as he could.
Yes. Michigan was the next one.
All right.
Up.
That's Omar inbred, right? Michigan?
Yeah. She's
I don't care.
Minnesota.
It doesn't matter.
And
I just wanted to say the name again.
But what's happened is that in these states, you've had a real growth of Democratic support because of the immigration policies. Not because they agree with them, but because they're themselves illegal immigrants, and they're clustered in one area politically. Now, Mike Lindell, our friend from Pillows,
he's great.
Looks like he will run against Walz. And there's already
Lindell has officially fired paperwork to begin the process of potentially challenging Walz. Walz, who has already made clear he plans to run for re-election in 26, would be seeking a third term as Minnesota governor. The Mike Lindell for Governor Committee was registered with the Minnesota Campaign Finance Board on Wednesday, but it's not necessarily a guarantee that Lindell will be running. Yes, he will. I am going to announce either way on December 11th. Ooh, that's coming up. Lindell, the Minnesota Star Tribune, added that he isn't 100% bull. That's bull. Trump is absolutely saying, Mike, you're running. You gotta run. Sorry, you gotta run. And Mike's gonna do it because, when the president asks you to do something, you do it. He asked me to paint the picture, I paint it. What do you do? You don't say no to the president. So Rubio says Maduro transshipment point for drugs into U.S. Says Maduro transshipment point. Secretary of State Marco Rubio accused Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro of not having a legitimate government and called the regime a transshipment organization to traffic drug sources in neighboring Colombia and other countries. The Maduro regime is not legitimate government, Rubio said. What it is a transshipment organization. I never heard that before. Transshipment organization. It allows
like when you change planes.
Yeah, right. Well, here's what it is. It allows cocaine and other drugs that are produced in Colombia to be trafficked through Venezuelan territory, and the cooperation of elements of regime are allowed. Leave Venezuela on airplanes and ship headed towards the United. So that's the transshipment, what that means. He added that Maduro's regime is a source of instability in the entire region, and that 8 million Venezuelan nationals have fled into neighboring countries as a result of this. Maduro asked the Biden administration that his nephews convicted of traffickers be released from U.S. prisons. Rubio also said he asked that his chief money launderer be released from the U.S. custody before he stood trial. In exchange, he promised to hold free and fair elections, which he didn't. He got his nephews back, the drug dealers, and he got the bagman back, that's his money laundering guy, right? And he never did the free, fair elections. No kidding. Rubio's comments come as President Trump warned on Tuesday that land strikes in Venezuela are coming soon. And days after the president wrote on social media that the country's airspace should be considered closed. Trump is going at it. He's not.
Yeah, Maduro is absolutely, his days are numbered. And
his minutes at this point.
It's wonderful to see Trump going after him like that.
You know, this just shows.
But again, look at what Trump is not doing. There are no Marines storming up the beaches.
That's right.
He's not intervening. We don't have another nation building thing on our plate.
You're right.
He's getting rid of them, going after him as a drug dealer with drug stuff like we did against Noriega in Panama.
Right.
And he's accomplishing the same thing.
Wow. Yeah, thinking about it. No boots on the ground. That's
right.
Amazing.
Now, Massachusetts has passed a law, the legislature, which is just coming into effect now, which says that if in the future, because of layoffs and because of budget problems, we have to reduce the number of teachers in Massachusetts, the legislature instructs you to prioritize quality, not seniority.
Oh, good.
In other words, you are not allowed only to lay off the first hired. And the result is that you
got a scorecard. There's a scorecard. And
exactly.
You didn't do well on a scorecard, see you, bye.
And we have a new insight about how Mandami is going to have free bus fares.
Yeah, the MTA's total shift to tap and pay will make fare enforcement easier. This is good. The MTA brass says, especially on buses where the bulk of fare evasion occurs. The OM New York, the Omni system, which allows riders to pay their fare using, when you tap your phone and the credit cards and smart devices or prepaid Omni cards, which I just got the other day. It's a black card. That has been in place since 2019. But the MetroCard system is replacing is set to be phased out next year with no new sales of the iconic yellow fare card as of December 31st. And when new fares kick in January, buses will no longer accept cash for fare payment, making it easier for the enforcement guys to check proof of payment. We've been talking about this for months, MTA chairman said. When the transition to the Omni is complete, we'll be able to have fare enforcement agents get on a bus and say to anyone, please show me your phone, show me your Omni card, the OM New York card, show me that you paid. So that's pretty good and make it a little easier.
Yeah, but we flagged it.
And Omni is one Metro New York.
We flagged this about two months ago when we had a caller who said that what he thinks is going to happen is once Mandami is elected, becomes mayor, and announces free bus service, right, that nobody's going to pay bus fares, and the homeless will ride the buses, and that basically on cold days, the homeless people will line up and get for free on New York City buses.
So basically,
and you go around the circuit, go around the city like sightseers,
right,
during the
It'll
entire
be their bathroom too, warm bathroom. Basically, if he doesn't have anyone to enforce it, it means nothing. Is that where you're going here?
Yeah, but even with this enforcement, you combine that with the idea of free bus service, and you can transform the buses of New York City into mobile restrooms and mobile shelters.
Could you imagine?
They're going to go all over the city, and nobody in their right minds is going to take a bus because they'd have to sit next to a homeless guy.
You know what? This is almost like a bad trailer to a movie. We're the bad trailer to this horrible movie. Hopefully it doesn't get to the theaters.
Well, it is.
Do you really think this is going to happen?
And this is part of it. By eliminating the pretense of fare collection, you permit free travel on the buses, and they'll become homeless shelters.
That's what they're going to become. That guy, we had a caller. He was great. And he said that, and we both looked at each other. Wow, this guy's right. Yeah. Absolutely. Horrible, man.
Homeless shelters on wheels.
Yeah. And at least they can get to where, like a mobile home. Like my mobile home, but I put the motorcycles in the back with the shower and the thing. Horrible.
Now, Trump has just announced that he demands information about who is on food stamps in every state, and that if he doesn't get it, he will cut off food stamp funding to the state.
Wow.
He'll begin withholding SNAP benefits from recipients in most Democratic-led states starting next week, after those states refuse to provide the Agriculture Department with data on recipients' names and immigration status. The idea is by checking to be sure that illegal immigrants are not getting food stamps, the Democrats will refuse to turn over the food stamp data and the base of who is getting stamps.
And then he's going to say, okay, that's it.
And he'll say, that's it. You're not going to get food stamp aid. 29 Republican governors have complied and have sent in their immigration data. But 21 states, including California, New York, and Minnesota, have refused to provide the data.
Those are their voting people. They need their votes. So as of next week, we begun and will begin to stop moving federal funds into those states until they comply and they tell us and allow us to partner with them to root out this fraud and to protect the American taxpayer. So close to 42 million people in the U.S. receive benefits for food assistance, though the supplement nutrient assistance, that's what SNAP is, right?
Yep.
I was going to ask you what it is. Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. I didn't even know that. So there you go. So that's what he's going to do. And you're not going to get, I don't see anyone not abiding by what he wants to do because they'll lose it, right? And if they lose it, what are you going to do?
Well,
you're going to lose your votes.
He's doing it at the state level. He's saying the state has to provide the information.
Right. Otherwise,
and therefore nobody in the state is going to get food stamps.
Yeah, right. So they have to do it.
Be very effective.
Now, suspect arrest. Oh, no, we went over the pot bomber already.
Yeah.
So let's skip that.
Stefanik has called for a ban on stock trading by congressmen. About time.
She also said she would sign a discharge petition to force a vote on a bill banning members of Congress and their immediate families from trading. Immediate families, like Nancy Pelosi and her husband. So that's where Stefanik's got this going on. A move that would bypass leadership and has generated unease inside the conference because Stefanik holds the leadership. Of course there's unease. There's a lot of people going, what am I going to do? I want a new Ferrari. Stefanik framed the stock trading push as a bipartisan good government measure, saying frustration over perceived self-dealing is widespread in both parties. Her provision would require Congress to be notified if a counterintelligence investigation is launched into a federal candidate.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
This is a separate story. The idea is that
how's that
because of Arctic frost and the Russia probe, Stefanik is introducing a bill to require that the FBI notify a congressman when his phone calls are being intercepted.
Well, that's messed up. Whatever happened to secure?
If they're counterintelligence operations, so Crossfire Hurricane and the various efforts to frame Donald Trump will not be permitted.
Yeah.
And they'll have to notify a congressman if he's the focus of a national security investigation.
How did that have to do with the other story?
It didn't. She did it on the same day.
Okay. That's how it did. Conservative media expert warns against FCC approval of Nexstar merger. You want to take this, Dick?
Yeah. This week, Town Hall published, George, an article warning that the FCC plans to lift the 39% TV ownership cap. The cap says that no company and no individual can own more than 39% of the media outlets in the country. And the Nexstar, the liberal media group, is trying to get out from under that. And they want to create the largest TV group reaching 80% of U.S. homes and replacing the 39% cap. Nexstar is a heavily Democratic company where 78% of the employee donations go to the Democrats in the last election. Chris Cuomo is the lead anchor for the cable news channel, News Nation. So Trump is fighting this, and I hope we'll succeed.
So he wants to cap it. He wants it not, you can't own more than 40%, 39%, right? But you know what they're going to do, as we all see, from New York. They'll open up 10 different companies, 20%, 30%.
No, they'll be able to enforce that because it applies to the individuals, not just the companies. So, but it's necessary.
I know
action.
things. I know stuff. Yeah. I know things.
The Supreme Court has okayed the reapportionment districts in Texas. And this is crucial because the court has held that it can intervene to stop racially motivated discrimination, but that it cannot and won't intervene to stop partisan motivated discrimination. In other words, you can draw your districts as Republican as you want. You just can't make them white or black. And that's true because basically they're saying that reapportionment is a manifestation of the results of an election, and voters should be able to control that. If the voters want their districts to be Republican, they should be able to vote that.
Explain how that works.
Well, the Supreme Court was saying that when they look at districts, they will reject any district lines that exclude blacks or designed to include primarily whites. But if the district line is intended to deal with leaving Democrats out of the district, including Republicans in the district, that's going to be okay because they will approve partisan gerrymandering. The word gerrymander is a funny word. It's named after Eldridge Gerry, who was the vice president under Monroe. And when he was governor of Massachusetts, he gerrymandered lines in the district.
What a coincidence that his name had to be Jerry.
And his name was Jerry, so they called it, and some of the districts looked like salamanders. They were all sorts of weird shapes.
So that's where we get mander from?
Said mander, okay.
So yeah, right.
They were called gerrymanders. But
we didn't need to know that.
No, but it's important because it means that now they can draw lines to make sure that they help Republicans and hurt Democrats.
Okay. Why don't we take a break and then when we come back, we're going to talk about
Letitia James.
Oh, LaShysta James. Say it right, Dick.
LaShysta James will not be reindicted.
I can't wait till you get this to Trump and he starts saying.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DiPirro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group.
This is a story I'm hating, but it's not going to happen. Grand jury won't reindict LaShysta James. They will. The Justice Department has failed to secure a new indictment against New York Attorney LaShysta after its initial case against her was dismissed, according to the Associated Press. A blunder for prosecutors who have trained their sights on the adversary of President Trump. The Justice Department officials sought to proceed with a fresh case against her, despite vowing at first to appeal and dismissal. After a judge found the appointment of Lindsay Halligan as acting U.S. attorney was unlawful. But the panel of grand jurors returned a no bill on the charges pursued by the prosecutors. Halligan was the only prosecutor to present the initial case against James to a grand jury. Several outlets have reported that this time around, other prosecutors were pulled in to lay out the allegations against James, including one from Missouri. The previous 2-count indictments against her centered on the plans for a Virginia home and whether she lied about that or all about whatever to get favorable loans and prosecutors claim that she'll have saved her nearly $19,000 over her life of the loan. She faced bank fraud and false statement charges. James denied this. Of course she did. She came into Trump's crosshairs after taking on his business empire. It's almost the same thing. Empire in Manhattan, alleging that the lawsuit against him, Trump organization, had inflated his net worth for tax and insurance benefits. A New York judge found Trump liable for fraud, and the president was hit with a penalty that ballooned to more than $500 million, including interest before appeals court wiped it out, and they wiped it out, thank God. Both James and Trump have appealed to the state's highest court. After career prosecutors in the Eastern District of Virginia declined to pursue charges against James and former FBI Director Comey, another Trump foe, the president pressured Attorney General Pam Bondi to take legal actions against his adversaries and suggest Halligan for the job. A White House aide with no prosecutorial experience, Halligan was named to the office's top post. U.S. District Judge Cameron Curry ruled last week that she was never eligible for the job because Bondi's authority to install an interim U.S. attorney had expired.
But the judge left open the door for re-indictment, but the Justice Department is now saying it's not going to pursue that case. It's going to bring a new indictment against James, and that'll probably stick. Oh, no.
Oh, so they're not going to go to the Supreme Court? In other words, that's where it would go, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they might.
At this point?
They might. But the current grand jury will not seek indictment under the current bill of indictment.
Right.
Now, Mandami's victory is spiking real estate sales in Florida.
In a stunning illustration of how political change in one metropolis can reverberate across another, South Florida's luxury property market is experiencing a dramatic spike in demand from wealthy New Yorkers, a phenomenon high-end brokers have begun calling the Mandani effect. This is great. Since the election of Zoran Hizakami as New York City's mayor next mayor, a political shift widely interpreted by affluent Manhattan residents as a harbinger of higher taxes, intensified regulations, and heightened anti-wealth rhetoric. South Florida's elite real estate sector has entered a new period of hyper-acceleration.
So, Doug, I've decided to start a new business.
You need some money, Dick? I got a couple hundred on me.
I'm going to sell lifeboats on the Titanic.
Really?
Yep. And if you want a lifeboat on the Titanic of New York City.
Oh, you need it because New York is
sinking.
Yeah,
so
New York
fast.
is sinking right now.
And you want to move to Florida, or you want to move to Connecticut, New Jersey.
We got this guy, Joe Malillo. Oh, he's great. He's a real estate
agent. He's specializing in New Yorkers who want to flee New York.
Who don't want to drown. It is 914-262-2964. Joe Malillo at Ravis.com. Ravis, RAVEIS.com. Joe Malillo.
Getting out of here before the taxes hit.
914-262-2964. Joe Malillo. He's going to help you. We're sinking, baby. We're sinking.
Yep. Now, at the same time, Eric Adams signed an executive order banning the city from disinvesting in Israel.
Oh, God.
The Mandami has said that he would require the city pension funds to stop buying any debt from Israel.
So the mayor-elect Zoran Mankami, who I like to call him, still weeks from taking office, is already confronting challenges over his positions on Israel and support for the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. One such challenge emerged Wednesday when outgoing Mayor Adams signed an executive order barring the city from boycotting and divesting from Israel. Mr. Adams, a vocal supporter of the Jewish state who recently returned from a trip to Israel, announced the measure while attending a North American mayors summit on anti-Semitism. The executive order prohibits agency heads, agency chief contracting officers, and other mayoral appointees from carrying out decisions that discriminate against the state of Israel or Israeli citizens based on their national origin. He also signed a second order directing the New York Police Department to strengthen protections, this is important, to strengthen protections of synagogues and other houses of worship from harassment, a likely response to an unruly protest that took steps from a prominent Manhattan synagogue last month.
This sets up a big fight between Mamdani and the feds. And Stefanik's bill is very important because it prevents disinvestment in Israel. There are over $300 million of bonds, $300 billion of bonds held by New York City from Israel.
Right.
And this would require them to divest themselves of all of them.
Right. And the order raises a question of whether Mamdani will rescind it, Mayor Adams' executive order, once he takes office in January. The mayor-elect has supported the BDS movement, which is boycott, divestment, sanctions. It's a Palestinian-led global campaign to hurt Israel, and just in what the mayor-elect has supported the BDS movement. This is Mamdani supported this movement, and during his campaign suggested he would back divesting city pension funds from Israel. New York City's 5 pension system collectively invests nearly $300 billion in global securities, including some $300 million in Israeli bonds and assets, according to the mayor. So there's what. So yeah. Is he gonna take it away?
So these are two issues that are going to confront Mamdani the minute he takes office. One is, will he permit free rides on New York City buses? And will that create mobile homeless shelters? And will he ban BDS, or will he proceed to stop the investment of pension funds in Israel?
Unbelievable. The U.S. court takes Citgo away from Venezuela. This is important. Yeah. You want to do it? I can do it.
You can do
Good. In around 2008 or so, a Canadian mining company, Crystalex, owned by a hedge fund, had one of their gold mines in Venezuela stolen by the government. Nationalized is the term. And they didn't much care for the idea. They weren't going to take the loss of the Las Cristinas mine lying down and decided to sue. But about the only assets the Venezuelan government had, which were anywhere they can lay claim for, is the $1.4 billion in damages they wanted, where the state-owned assets of Venezuelan oil company Petroleos de Venezuela S.A., which is PDVSA, they pronounce PDVSA, in the United States. We know them as Citgo. So that's pretty big, right? So that's what they did. The Canadians filed a lawsuit in Delaware, and eventually the judge ruled that they had legal standing to sue for the theft of their gold mine. After nearly 10 years of wrangling, by 2018, the judge had also ruled for the claimants and given Venezuela the option to cough it up, baby, cough up $1.4 billion to satisfy the judgment, or have their entire U.S. Citgo operations, 3 refineries and 48 terminals, seized and sold at auction to pay the gold mine Venezuela. And Venezuela was not writing any checks. By 21, there had been some movement, and the belief was that Crystalex was in the home stretch of receiving compensation as a Delaware judge finally approved the sale of Citgo. Only U.S. sanctions against Maduro were gumming up the punitive auction. A potential Citgo auction was going to have the first gain the approval of the government. Crystalex, closer to being paid off by Venezuela, Delaware District Judge Leonard Stark almost made Canadian miner Crystalex wishes come through. The Stark compiled with a request to the company made back in September 2020 and approved the sale of PDV Holdings shares just before the January 21. PDV Holdings is the parent company of Citgo, the petroleum. With this action, Crystalex wants to enforce a $1.4 billion arbitral award against South American country following a decade-long dispute. The amount is comprised of $1.2 billion plus $200 million of interest awarded by World Bank.
This means basically financial death for Venezuela and for Maduro.
And this Canadian company is going to have Citgo.
Yeah, right. So when you pass Citgo signs and get your gas, you're no longer going to be contributing to Maduro because of the action of this federal judge.
From you and Bill O'Reilly on your show, his show, and you had a segment every Wednesday or Thursday for 800 million years. You guys talked about Venezuela Citgo, and I never, after that, that's 20 years ago, I didn't go to Citgo because of Dick Morris.
New jobless claims in the U.S. have hit a 3-year low. Fewest claims filed by Americans over the last 3 years, far fewer than economists had been expecting. There were 191,000 initial claims for unemployment benefits in the week that included Thanksgiving. They had predicted 225,000. The holidays can make the numbers volatile. But the point is that there is a decreasing trend in the number of people on unemployment insurance. And record spending has been recorded over the Thanksgiving weekend.
Let's take a break, and we'll come to this right after the break. How's that?
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DiPirro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group. There has been record spending over the Thanksgiving weekend, another sign that the economy is turning around.
This is a contrast between earlier we talked about unemployment. Did we do an unemployment story?
Yeah,
we did.
It's at the 3-year low.
Yeah, right. And this is
the same thing.
Yeah, right. Consumers. I'm sorry.
Consumer confidence has rebounded. There's been a sharp turnaround in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks from the perception that the economy was in bad shape,
right,
to a perception that it's in good shape. There's been an explosion in consumer spending over the Thanksgiving weekend. Black Friday was not a Black Friday for the U.S. It was a glorious Friday.
Right.
And increasingly, there is a perception that the Trump economy plan is working. And if you could look back in history and assign a date where impressions turn around, you would have to put it at Thanksgiving of this year.
Interesting. Consumers in the United States spent a record amount of money online this Thanksgiving holiday. Online, culminating in a massive spending spree on Cyber Monday. After previously setting an e-commerce spending record on Thanksgiving and Black Friday, U.S. spenders set another record on Cyber Monday, spending $14.25 billion, according to the Adobe analysis. This was an increase of over 7% from 24 and above the initial projections of 14.2. That's pretty good. I'm loving this, boy.
One of the absolutely...
You know what? But 1 second. You know what it is? You said it early on, consumer confidence.
Yeah.
That's what everything is about. When somebody feels like Trump isn't going to steal your money, he's not going to put money somewhere else, you have confidence and you spend your money. It's like the stock market.
Yeah, and despite the left's efforts to sell the idea that the economy is lackluster. We're dying. We're about to have a recession.
We're hitting our heads on the ground.
The economy is going to go crazy.
Right.
The data has consistently refuted that, and now it's refuted enough so that people, I think, are beginning to believe it.
Well, like anything. You know, a guy buys a piece of land and wants to get an excavator guy. He's got some money in his pocket to do it. The excavator guy has a little money. He gets his kids some things are starting to roll very slowly, but they're rolling. Everyone's taking a little bit of money. And now this other thing with Trump. What's it called? The Trump
Child Savings Account.
That's unbelievable. What's he calling it? The Trump account?
Yeah, the Trump account. Where your kid automatically begins life with at least $1,000. And it'll grow to $5,600 by his 18th birthday.
Well, the one thing I didn't understand, and I don't think you know this yet because it's so brand new, is it seems like you could only put $5,000 in that account a year, and employee could put $2,500, $7,500. I don't understand. You can't put more than $5,000. It looked like from our story.
Not to keep the tax exemption.
Oh, we're not without. Okay, got it.
If
oh,
you
okay.
put more in, you gotta pay tax.
Oh, understandable. Okay, you answered my question. You're very smart, Dick Morris. How do you get to that?
China's government has penetrated networks used to control the U.S. electric grid and could use the covert access to shut down the flow of electricity to Americans. This could be the most enormous story of the decade.
This is cyber war.
Yeah. The associate director of the Energy Department's lab told a House subcommittee hearing that the nation is facing an unprecedented wave of cyber threats directed at our crucial infrastructure. In addition to conducting cyber espionage to steal vital technology and information, China's government-linked hackers are pre-positioned to conduct cyber attacks on the electric grid and other critical infrastructure. The Chinese cyber group, dubbed the Volt Typhoon.
Volt Typhoon.
V-O-L-T, Typhoon.
Good name.
Was found to have infiltrated U.S. utility networks with the goal of long-term positioning for disruption. This basically is the modern equivalent of nuclear war, where where by exploding a nuclear device in the atmosphere, you can freeze the grid.
Yeah.
You can absolutely burn out the various transformers.
Right.
And would not take a lot of money to insulate all of our transformers in the U.S.
But this isn't that. This is doing it through computers. I don't think they're not gonna fizzle up and fire up computers they're gonna burn. They're gonna get rid of all your data. I don't really know. I'm not an expert in it, but that's what I think this is about.
Yeah. But you're right. It's not just the idea of a bomb in the atmosphere.
And it's not
doing the same thing. By programming and by sabotage
and deprogramming.
Online.
Right.
That's
the
right.
same way phones, they used to, about 5 years, not more than that, 10 years ago, the phone companies were sending what they called a bullet into your phone, and all of a sudden your phone got hot and this and that, and there was a case about it. They got sued. I forget who it was. I don't remember, but
America's adversaries are not waiting. They're already embedding in our systems, mapping our infrastructure, and preparing to disrupt critical operations when they want. This threat is no longer hypothetical. Cyber attacks on energy infrastructure are a daily reality and a growing strategic weapon.
Wow. Well, and how do we go about protecting ourselves?
We harden the grids.
How do
we
you
get transformers that can resist the kind of surge that
you know what you need to do?
do?
I tell you what to do. Notebooks. The old-fashioned notebooks. Write everything in a book. Or you stuff. No more computers. What else are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see that we're taking action on this and that we're recognizing it. Oops. The Science Journal admits big error in climate data. Wasn't as bad as they said. The scientific journal Nature retracted a bombshell study cited by Forbes, the AP, and Reuters, predicting that climate change would cause economic catastrophe after economists found the report had significant error. Sorry about that, guys.
Oh, sorry, what's his name? Al Gore.
And Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Nature retracted the study on Wednesday after a team of economists found significant flaws in the data the New York Times reported. The study, released in April of 24 by researchers at the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research, found that climate change would not only cost the global economy $38 trillion by 49, but also slash economic global output by 62% by 2100.
Forget the money. That's big.
A far higher figure than earlier research has found.
The output.
Not happening.
No.
And it is so nice to see this happen. But after all of the municipalities and all of the jurisdictions in the world have changed their policies to deal with this issue.
Hey, let's go to Sandra in New Jersey. Hi, Sandra. How are you? Are you playing piano?
Actually, I'm tidying up today. Doing a lot of tidying up.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Good.
I wanted to say two things. One, that smile that Mandani shows us, that devious smile.
Want to smack it off his face.
Well, he can get you under his spell. I think he already got Hochul under his spell. I did hear from reliable sources that she may very well go with the increase of taxes. But what I really wanted to talk about was today I learned that there are 2 shooting galleries in New York, one in Washington Heights and one in Harlem. And I don't mean gun shooting sites. I mean places where you do drugs, you shoot heroin, you do all that stuff. So they have 2 of those places, and I have to say they put them in 2023, and drugs have increased since they've done that.
Wait, these are legal areas where people can go and do?
The idea of the left is that this gives people
like San Francisco. San Francisco did this. They were giving out needles.
Right. That's right.
Go on.
So in Washington Heights, it went from 19% to 44% increase. In Harlem, 5% to 7% increase. Now, this is what gets me. 2 things. One, Mandani said during his campaign that he would just leave those 2. But Donald Trump doesn't want them at all. But now he made a total reversal, and he said he's going to put more of these sites in. Now, 46 people were just rushed to the hospital recently because of drug use, number one, and the places don't even have any recollection of who these people are and where they went and how they're doing. And 2, when you try to get help from this place, they promise to give you treatment and all this good stuff. The best they do is hand you a brochure. They don't do anything to help the people.
So basically, she's caving and he's caving too.
Right.
And that's going to be his vote share?
She's caving, but he's proposing. He wants them.
Right.
He wants sites where you can use drugs.
He wants to make more of these places.
They want to decriminalize, as they say, drug use, legitimize, make it okay.
Right.
So combine this with free bus service.
No police,
free bus service.
Free food, grocery stores, wow, no food.
So like I've said, I'm entering the lifeboat business.
For Joe Malillo.
I'm selling lifeboat space on the Titanic. And contact Joe Malillo, my fearless real estate friend who's finding shelters for you.
And he'll do
Florida.
it too. He's in Connecticut, New York, Florida. He's all over the place. This guy will get you something. That's unbelievable. Thank you, Sandra. That was
Patrick in Indiana.
Hey, Patrick in Indiana. How are you?
I don't think you were taking it serious enough last week when I said that Trump has to deport Mandani for saying that he was for international law because we've always had constitutional law, and this is a foreign thing that
you mean Sharia law? Yeah. Well, but the issue is, will the United States ratify the ICC, the International Criminal Court? We've refused to, under Obama refused to, and Biden and Trump, of course. And the issue is, will we ratify it? Will we abide by the ICC courts?
And ratify it does what?
It subjects us to their jurisdiction. Mm-hmm. Right now, they have ordered the arrest warrant for Netanyahu.
Which is our next story.
Yeah. And Mandami has said that he will arrest Bibi if he comes to New York.
And Bibi says, I don't think so.
ICC warrant.
And he's coming. After we get back, we got to take a break. When we get back, we're going to talk about Netanyahu. And he says, don't worry, I'm coming. I'll be there.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hi, welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DiPirro Show. Mamdani said that he will bust Bibi Netanyahu if he shows up in New York.
Yeah. And
because the International Criminal Court has indicted him. Now, the United States refuses to recognize the ICC.
But Mandami thinks he's going to do something.
Is going to take him nonetheless.
The Prime Minister Netanyahu dismissed threats from the New York Democratic Mayor Zohan Mankami this week, saying he fully intends to return to the Big Apple despite Mankami's campaign trail vow to have him arrested on alleged war crime charges. Speaking Wednesday via video to the New York Times Dealbook Summit at Lincoln Center, Netanyahu was asked directly whether he would travel to New York now that Mandami has pledged to enforce the International Criminal Court arrest warrant against him over Israel's war against Hamas terrorists in Gaza. I'll come to New York now. Response: yes, of course I will. What about the Hamas terrorists in Gaza, what they did on October 7th? Where's Mankami with this?
Right.
I want to know what he has to say.
Well, the ICC is basically a leftist attempt to internationalize anti-Semitism and internationalize the effort against Israel. So here you have Mayor Adams issuing a statement banning BDS.
Discrimination.
You can't discriminate against Israel. And you have Mandami calling for discrimination against Israel. And we'll see how that gets resolved.
A lot of women voted for this guy in New York, right?
A lot of people voted for him.
A lot of other people.
Yeah.
The people, gays, women, and Jews voted for this guy and made him mayor. And those are the three people he hates. He wants to throw the gays off a roof. He doesn't like Jews to start with. He wants to blow Israel off the map. And women. He's going to hide them with all you're going to see is their pupils. Not even going to see the whole eye. Yep. Ridiculous. Some stupid people out there. I'm going to tell you right now. There's some stupid people.
Let's go to Paul in New Jersey.
Hey, Paul in New Jersey. Hey, Paul. Hello, Paul.
Huh?
How you doing? You're on the air. Okay.
Let's go to Pamela in New Jersey.
Let's go to Pamela. Hi, Pamela in New Jersey.
Hi. You said that Trump is going to try to convince car producers to make smaller cars. No. We don't want that.
Good for
along
you.
with other people, but I'm sure it helped. I told Ford they had a small pickup truck called the Ranger. It was very popular.
Yeah.
And then they went to these bigger, bulkier, ugly pickup trucks.
Right.
And
the
electric,
150 or whatever.
And I convinced them, I think, along with other people, because I kept telling them every time I went, because I have a Ranger, and they finally went back to it. And I like the old style, and I don't like the big SUVs, clunky cars that take up double the space in now smaller parking spaces.
Right.
And the Ranger is more conservative with gas. It's not those monster pickup trucks. And the highways are so dangerous right now. Ever since COVID, people are speeding like crazy.
Yeah, what's with that?
I relayed a message to Marsha Blackburn because she's on the committee, and I'm kind of bi-state right now, New Jersey and Tennessee. And I want, I like Duffy, I hope he can work on the speeding. And I work on it here locally in my town on the speeding.
You throw garbage cans in the middle of the street?
Oh, I put
that's what we used to do.
I put up signs. I tell my neighbors to put stuff out, but you know how that goes.
Yeah.
A lot of people have cameras and everything, and like I'm the only one out there. You know, there's not too many activists out there. Let's just say in a blue state. But you know, I think it's working because I think I tied in a lot of the speeding to car stripping groups. They go around at night and they race. It's a cover for stripping cars.
You know, I think these mini cars, I can't think of the car years ago, the Harley Davidson place.
Cooper?
No, not the Mini, it was smaller. It was almost like the mailman's little truck, but it wasn't. It was a little car. The New Rochelle Harley Davidson, his wife had one, the owner. And I always used to be so scared for this woman. A motorcycle, you could get out of the way. These little 2-cylinders, they're probably 4-cylinder, I don't really know. Yeah. They don't go. They do 30, 40 miles an hour. You're going to get killed.
You think that because the people need a low-cost alternative.
No, I don't mind. Listen, there's a time and place for it. If you're around town, you're going to the candy store, you know, the shopping, whatever you're doing, that's fine. But to get on 287 or 684 with that thing, I don't think so. A motorcycle, I could bolt out of the way if something's going. That thing's not going anywhere.
Well, the increasing trend is to try that.
I'm not against it.
We'll see if it causes increases in traffic deaths.
I'm not against it at all. I'll never get one. I might get one for my collection just because I can have it in some years from now and say, look what happened over here. Just like I'm buying an electric car.
We have a call from Norman in Brooklyn.
Hey, Norman.
Who says that he pays bus fare. making him unique in New York.
First, I saw you both at my friend Sandra's event at the Women's Republican Club last month.
Oh, hey, Norman, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Look, out here in the hood where I live, out here in Canarsie, in Brooklyn, ain't nobody paying the fare except for me. I get on my neighbors pretty much been told don't pay the fare, okay? So, like, I get on there, I usually wait 8 or 10 people, bus driver just doesn't even nod, does look, it's business as usual.
Really?
And here comes Norman paying the fare. So just let you know, there are whole scores of this city already not paying the fare.
The problem is the $700 million the MTA is losing because of lack of fares. And who's going to pay the bus drivers, and who's going to pay the maintenance on the bus, and who's going to pay the gas? Well, the city is, but the problem is that the service will basically be eliminated. This is a classic example of socialism. It'll be free.
No, they get the money from somewhere.
Well, yeah, but the bus won't come. The driver won't stop.
Right.
It's basically the elimination of a service.
Kind of like healthcare.
Free.
When doctors weren't getting paid anymore, you got worse doctors. They don't come around. You got nurses taking care. Same type of thing.
Well, I read that in Britain, people say healthcare is deteriorated, but just wait until it's free.
Yeah, right.
Then it'll completely
Well, anyway,
go away.
Dick Morris, it's been an honor to be here with you. And, when they say it's Sunday, you know what that means. Get up, Dick Morris. Man, we got a show to do. Thank you, Dick Morris. It's been an honor. Okay,
Goodbye.
bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The Dick Morris Show. You can hear The Dick Morris Show Sundays at noon. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.